In 1925, Costa Rica was a rural nation, its economy built on coffee and bananas, with most people living in poverty. Over the next century, Costa Rica transformed into a modern, peaceful, and socially progressive country. The 1948 Civil War led to the abolition of the army, setting Costa Rica on a unique path. Universal education and healthcare followed, building a strong welfare state. The economy diversified, with tourism and technology creating new opportunities. Costa Rica's story is one of choosing human development over military power. Today it stands as a global model for peace and progress. In 1925, Costa Rica was dominated by a coffee oligarchy, with most people working as rural farmers under tough conditions. The economy depended on coffee and bananas, making the country vulnerable to global price swings. The United Fruit Company controlled the banana industry, operating almost independently on the Caribbean coast. The Great Depression in 1929 devastated the economy, causing widespread hardship and unrest. New political ideas emerged in the 1930s, with the Communist Party and the Catholic Church advocating for workers' rights and social justice. These movements pressured the government for reforms, challenging the traditional power of the coffee elite. President Ricardo Jimenez Unamuno managed the country through these turbulent years, but calls for change grew louder. The economic crisis exposed the dangers of dependency on a few crops and gave rise to new social and political forces. For the first time, many believed the government should protect citizens from economic hardship. These tensions and new ideas set the stage for the dramatic conflicts and reforms of the next decade. Costa Rica was on the brink of transformation. The 1940s brought intense political conflict and major reforms. President Calderón Guardia founded the University of Costa Rica, created the Social Security Fund, and introduced a labor code. His alliance with the Catholic Church and communists, called the Victory Bloc, alarmed conservatives. Tensions peaked in the disputed 1948 election. After the ruling party annulled the opposition's win, José Figueres Ferrer led a brief but bloody civil war. Figueres' victory led to abolishing the army in December 1948. The military budget was redirected to education and health, shaping Costa Rica's modern identity. With a new constitution, Costa Rica committed to democracy and peace. After the Civil War, Costa Rica entered an era of stability and social development. The 1949 Constitution guaranteed free elections, abolished the army, and strengthened social reforms. The National Liberation Party, led by José Figueres Ferrer, dominated politics, ensuring peaceful power transitions. The government invested heavily in public services, expanding healthcare and building new hospitals and clinics. Life expectancy rose, and infant mortality dropped dramatically. Education became universal, with new schools reaching even remote areas. The state promoted economic diversification, encouraging new crops and founding state enterprises like the Costa Rican Electricity Institute. Infrastructure development brought electricity and modern services to much of the country. A strong middle class began to emerge, and poverty declined. The welfare state provided security rare in the region. For many, life improved as children gained access to education and families benefited from healthcare. Costa Rica's reputation as a peaceful, democratic, and socially progressive nation was established. The promise of the Second Republic was becoming reality. The foundations for future prosperity were firmly set. The 1970s began with prosperity but ended in crisis. High government spending and reliance on agricultural exports left Costa Rica vulnerable to global shocks. The oil crisis and falling commodity prices in the late 1970s triggered a deep recession in the early 1980s, known as La Crisis. Inflation soared, unemployment rose, and the currency collapsed, threatening decades of progress. The government turned to the IMF and World Bank, adopting structural adjustment programs that reduced public spending and opened the economy to free trade. Privatization and economic liberalization were controversial, sparking debate over the future of the welfare state. Despite turmoil, Costa Rica maintained its commitment to peace, becoming a haven for refugees from regional conflicts. President Oscar Arias Sanchez led peace efforts in Central America, earning the Nobel Peace Prize in 1987. The crisis forced Costa Rica to rethink its economic model and adapt to new realities. The country's tradition of democracy and social solidarity endured. The 1980s were a turning point, balancing economic reform with social values. Costa Rica's unique identity as a peaceful nation was reinforced. The groundwork was laid for a new era of growth. The nation emerged from crisis with renewed purpose. The stage was set for transformation in the 1990s. The 1990s marked a decisive shift toward a new economy. Costa Rica moved away from agriculture, focusing on attracting foreign investment and promoting exports. The government courted multinational corporations, leveraging a highly educated workforce. Intel's arrival in 1996 was a turning point, launching a dynamic technology sector. Technology quickly surpassed traditional exports, and tourism boomed as Costa Rica promoted itself as an eco-tourism destination. Jobs were created in technology, tourism, and related industries, offering new opportunities beyond agriculture. Rapid urbanization brought challenges like congestion and pressure on public services. Economic growth was uneven, with a widening gap between skilled and unskilled workers. The government faced the challenge of managing growth while preserving social equity. The 1990s set the stage for Costa Rica's emergence as a global leader in technology and sustainability. The country's identity continued to evolve. Costa Rica was now firmly on the path to modernization. In the 21st century, technology and tourism became the main pillars of Costa Rica's economy. The tech sector expanded into software, services, and call centers, demanding a bilingual, educated workforce. Tourism diversified, adding wellness retreats and adventure sports to its ecotourism appeal. These sectors drove growth but also sparked debates over trade agreements like CAFTA, which narrowly passed in a national referendum. Social progress continued, with Costa Rica becoming the first Central American country to legalize same-sex marriage in 2020. However, new challenges emerged. The COVID-19 pandemic hit tourism hard, government debt rose, and inequality became more visible. Urbanization brought congestion and pressure on public services. The country grappled with balancing economic growth, social equity, and environmental sustainability. Costa Rica's social contract was tested by globalization and changing values. Despite difficulties, the nation remained committed to peace, democracy, and human rights. The 21st century demanded adaptation and resilience. Costa Rica's identity continued to evolve in a complex world. The nation faced the future with both pride and uncertainty. By 2025, Costa Rica is a vibrant urban nation of over 5 million people. Most live in the greater metropolitan area, enjoying access to jobs, education, and culture, but also facing urban challenges like traffic and high living costs. Life expectancy is around 80 years, thanks to decades of investment in health and sanitation. Family structures have changed, with smaller families and more women in professional roles. Global culture is visible, but Costa Ricans hold on to traditions like Independence Day lantern parades. The phrase Pura Vida reflects a national spirit of optimism and relaxation. Environmental values are central. Over 98% of electricity comes from renewables, and sustainability is taught in schools. The welfare state remains strong, with universal healthcare and free education. However, inequality persists, and the gap between high-skilled and low-skilled workers is significant. Public security concerns have grown, especially in urban areas. Despite challenges, Costa Ricans are proud of their peaceful history and social achievements. The nation's unique identity endures. Modern life in Costa Rica is a blend of tradition, progress, and resilience. In 2025, Costa Rica stands as a testament to a century of transformation. The country's unique path, abolishing the army, investing in people, and prioritizing peace, created stability and progress. Social indicators rival those of developed nations thanks to adaptability and core values. When faced with crisis, Costa Rica pivoted to technology and tourism and led peace efforts in the region. Environmental protection became both a value and an economic asset. Yet, challenges remain: fiscal pressures, inequality, urbanization, and the need for reform. The future depends on Costa Rica's ability to adapt, innovate, and strengthen its social contract. The last century proves the nation's capacity for positive change. The next generation must build on this legacy, preserving peace, democracy, and social equity. Costa Rica's story is a beacon of hope, showing how vision and values can shape a nation's destiny.